it working. We'll see though.
Okay.
What a nightmare. Once I get this settings right, everything will be good. Okay, so it looks like the live is now active. So I'm gonna turn on YouTube. Okay, go ahead and just tell me a little bit. Tell me what you think.
Uh, I only really started reading it tonight, even though I spent all that time taking the screenshot. I wasn't focused on reading it at that time because of what we had thought about it
Mm-hmm.
and all the pop-ups. And so I was just really focused on getting those screenshots as quickly as possible and sending them off.
Nice.
And so now I finally have some time. I'm sitting there reading it, and I don't know. I keep getting feeling like a lot of the stuff that was talked about in the articles and what was going on in David and Kamel's life is in the script,
Mm-hmm.
and it's weird. Okay, for instance, like the grandfather in the very beginning and how he was like doing these occult chants and stuff, and like some demonic thing presence appears. Well, that just reminded me of what was said in the past. And so I don't know if somebody was just taking a compilation of all the things that have been discussed about the case and put it in a script and said David Crowley wrote it, or if David was just putting things from his life in the script
Mm.
and then completely changed it in the other scripts, which is interesting. And where did this Nazi thing come from?
The Nazi thing, yeah.
That's different. So, and then like the names, there's interesting names, and I don't understand why you would pick Daniel,
What's his dad's name, right?
his brother's name too.
True. Yeah. And what?
So,
And he merged them, right? He merged John Wink. He merged them into one, but kept the name Daniel.
mhm.
That's pretty interesting. Um. Hmm.
But the script doesn't flow like the others either, and it's starting to annoy me because I can't follow it because it's just skipping, and so um, anyway,
It's kind of choppy.
yes, extremely, and it's not like the other one where you can envision everything, and I liked that. Like you were talking about the fight scenes and stuff like that, you could actually see that,
Mm-hmm.
and the script is not like that. And I have to question if he actually wrote it or what's going on here. It's just weird. So,
Well, I mean, he did have the Bohemian Grove statue in his room, in his office. Um, it I mean, there's other people out there who have read that script, so they would be able
hmm
to verify if it's real or if it's not. But it's so different from the other one, the May 12th, 2014 script, and the version 6.
hmm
So I don't know. Yeah, it's really odd. So how far have you gotten in the script?
like page 4, but like I said, I only started just about 30 minutes ago. I'm a super slow reader with the whole dyslexia thing, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm extremely slow.
It's a
And
long. I think it could have been broken down into two movies, maybe two scripts. That was my thought on it. It should have
yeah,
ended. Well, I don't really want to spoil anything, but I don't know. I really liked the first part of it, and then about halfway through, I just felt like they should have just ended it right here. But it's weird. It's demons. It's physical manifestations, possessions. human sacrifices, the serpentine thing that they're looking for, the weird dreams. Like none of
Yes.
that, all that is taken out in the later script. I just wonder why. So much. It's almost like two completely different stories, really. There's really not that much in that in the 2013 that matches what's in the 2014. There's a couple characters, but even that is kind of like I don't know. I really don't know, but um
And it makes me question the trailer because the scripts are not what that trailer was about.
see, I think
And
the trailer is very similar to this 2013 script. I think you may
okay,
find that as you go on here. Because there's some specific things that are in that trailer that you can you go okay that's from the that's from the script. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to say because I don't want to ruin it for you.
well, I guess my other question then would be he was funding that movie off of the trailer.
Mhm.
And he dramatically changed it in the older script or the newer scripts, I guess. And so, would the people who were helping to finance it, would they have been happy with this big change and stuff?
Yeah, and I guess that goes back to when all of that happened, right? Because if David met them in May and
Hmm.
the one, and they knew nothing about Danny Mason or his character, I guess you probably would have to look at the legal documents too to kind of see okay when did that rift start when did David start trying to get Danny Mason to sign away those rights, how many people knew that Danny Mason's character had been taken out of the 2014 script. um, I don't know. I mean, there's so many questions. I just have so many questions. I really want to go back through it. I'm looking forward to all of us kind of doing a show on it and kind of going back through it all because there is just so much stuff here. There's actually in David's notepad in his office, there's a couple areas there. Uh, some of the notes, I think, do kind of tie in. Maybe might tie in with some of this stuff that we found in the 2013 script, but I don't know. Like from a spiritual point, I kind of like the 2013 script better. But as a
Uh-huh.
story, as a military, a cohesive story, I think the 2014 is more. It's more general. I mean, just putting the Bohemian Grove in there, even if whatever, call it a grove, whatever he called it, but I mean, it gets very violent. The whole thing is really, really violent. This one, and yeah,
Hmm.
it looks like it's like okay, with Danny Mason, you have all of this demonic stuff, all of this weird stuff happening that doesn't really get explained in the end too. There's still a lot of things that are left open, but and still a lot of things that I'm like, what? That doesn't I don't get that. But there's stuff that was in the 2014 script, especially at the very end where it kind of does that cutscene thing. I don't
Hmm.
know if you remember that where at the end of the 2014 script, it's like a couple cutscenes, and I think there's a lot of that in this 2013 script. I kind of like the characters, some of the characters better here. There's a lot of characters too, by the way, in both of them. I thought.
Yeah, like the first 3 pages is they're introducing quite a few people, and you're like, wait a minute. And then he's like talking to a class. Is he practicing talking to a class when he's at home with Kelly? I don't know. It keeps going back and forth, and
Okay, so
I need to go back.
yeah, so Daniel, so in the 2012 trailer, the guy, the bald-headed guy, Charles Hubble. That's
Hmm.
that's that's Daniel.
Okay.
Okay, Danny Mason in the 20. Let's talk about 2012 trailer because I think that'll really help give people a reference. So Kelly is the red-haired girl in the 2012
Hmm.
trailer, right? So we know those three main characters. H.T. Altman's character is the one that I couldn't figure out, but I think I know who his character is in the 2013 script. But he's one of the bad guys. He's chasing them. So in the 2012 trailer, it looks like H.C. Altman's character is chasing Danny Mason and chasing Daniel, and Kelly too, and all of these other people. That's the way that I kind of read it. So it's kind of true to that. So if you just focus on the Charles Hubble character, and there's certain things that his character does in the script that do kind of pay homage, I guess, back to the 2012 trailer. So that's what I
Okay.
noticed. There is a lot of that in there. Um, but I don't know. There's still a lot of things that I did not I'm still having a hard time with. So you're on page 4. Is that what you said? See,
Yeah, I just,
everything is about that
yeah,
first page. The first 2 pages, it goes back to all of that. So what they do is they're jumping around, but for cinematic purposes to kind of say, okay, we're starting here, we're teasing you with something, and all of this is going to pay off at the end of the script. It doesn't pay off the way that I was hoping, but there is kind of a payoff. You do kind of learn more about what is going on here, but yeah, the some of it you kind of think like, well, this could have been cut down. A lot of this could have probably been cut out. Um, the bag, yeah, the not. I see what you're saying. The Nazi thing, the Baghdad. It was a little hard to follow. This Abner guy in the very first scene,
hmm
Abner, and then the Simeon. They're all tied with Daniel too, so they're all family. But he's possessed. I mean, that's the way that it's. What does this mean? Do you know what that means? On the first page, um, ego caput draconis. Do you know what that means?
mm-mm. No, I don't. I was just, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess, I don't know. I have to go back and just, just turn off everything and not answer anybody who's texting me
It
because
took
that
me
was
the whole.
going on too.
Right.
William was sitting there texting me because he'd like to do a show also about the script,
Mhm.
and so, and I'm telling him, hey, I'm reading this right now. I need to let him. I need to politely let him know I'm reading it. Can't talk.
Yeah, I actually had Monday off, so I spent all of Monday pretty much reading the whole thing while doing other things too, and I was barely able to get through it, but it did take me the whole day to read it. And there were some parts where I was glued to it, and there were
Hmm.
other parts where I was like, "Wow, I have no idea what's going on here or why this is even here." I mean, if you the
Now,
way, go ahead.
the relationship between Kelly and Daniel,
Mhm.
I see Camille and David.
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that.
So I'm
Yeah.
seeing that, and I
Mhm.
can see him, putting in situation or incidents that he's had with Camille and writing about that. And so it's just the whole character names is
Mhm.
throwing me off because I'm not understanding why he chose. Anyway,
Kelly.
it's late. No, no, the name Daniel. And, I keep thinking about this script and
Mhm.
how different it is to the others and how they're different from the trailer. And so my mind is constantly going back and trying to see where these all fit in.
There is a
So
guillotine in this one too. And
Okay.
you know the part where the Freemason guy, the guy in the white
Mhm.
robe, um, that character's here too. That's the Simeon character. It's
Okay.
similar, but the guillotine is much more brutal. It's not just a single person guillotine. It's like a multi-person guillotine, and it
Wow.
takes, yeah, it's like on this big scaffold in a sports stadium, and they're basically chopping people's heads off and throwing them in there, throwing them down through the scaffold into a big truck. So all of the caskets, those black caskets that we've seen,
Mhm.
those are mentioned. Um, a lot of that stuff, but the resistance is a pretty strong force in this
Okay.
script, and I kind of felt like in the 2014 script they weren't. It was like, it was just a
Kind of
couple.
like a militia.
Yeah, yeah, but in this they have, it's much bigger, much bigger.
Mm.
Um, but there's a lot of demonic stuff here, supernatural things happening here in the script. The John Wink character kind of gets sidelined, and there's some weird scenes where the John Wink and Daniel are meeting. They're there, but it's like they're dreaming or something, but they're talking. It's really weird. At some point, I was like, are they the same guy? Like, is the John Wink character like in Daniel's mind or something? Which is not true. It is a real character. It's a real person, but there's some scenes where Daniel is like thinks that he's dreaming and he's talking with John Wink, and it's that stuff. I don't know. Like, that's what made me think about the whole dream state project that Danny Mason was working on,
Oh, okay.
because it's like, okay, you wake up from the dream, and even Daniel's character, you'll hear him several times saying that he's not sure if this is real or if he's dreaming. And by the end, I'm not sure either. Not really. I'm like, okay, like, because there's things that happen to him at the end, and then all of a sudden, it's almost like none of that happened. It's
Mm.
it's really odd. It's really odd. It's hard to really explain without ruining the whole thing for you. But or I don't know. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll help shed some light on some of this stuff. I'm not really sure. This snake, the serpentine. I wanted to find out more about that. It doesn't really get explained as much as I wanted to. There's a demonic physical presence in Daniel's house, and
Mhm.
then it's just kind of gone. And it's brought up two or three times. At the end, you do figure out what that is, but it's just so random, so spread out, that I was like, it's like, I don't know if this. That's when I started to feel like the script should have either been cut down, or this should have been broken up into two scripts. And it's easy for me to read this and say what they should have and could have done.
Yeah.
But
And but I don't even think that he showed this script to the mic.
yeah, I think you're right. I totally think you're right. I don't think the mics ever saw this one. I think only a certain group of people saw this one here. And they did live readings. I think when they're in the sloppumentary, when they're all
Mhm.
sitting around that table talking about it, my gut tells me that they're talking about this script that we're actually reading here. This is the one that they're going through, and that's why it's kind of going back and forth. It needs a lot of work, and I think at some point it just feels like David just completely gutted the whole thing. Which, remember, in his social media post, that's exactly what he said. The
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the the script had completely changed. I've gutted it. Blah blah blah. I need to go back and find out what date that was. I'm glad I wrote a book on
But
that
then
because I can go back and look at that.
and then there were comments from the Gray State guys that were saying that they were unhappy with the changes. And
That's right. That's right.
so, which is weird because the new script is slow. I actually liked it. I think the ending could have been tweaked a little bit more, but I actually liked the other script.
Mm-hmm.
And I still keep going back to the initial investors and if they would have been happy because they
With
were
this,
sold on.
there's no way they could have sold this. There's absolutely
Hmm.
no way. No one's gonna. I mean, they would have had to have gutted a lot of stuff, changed a lot of things. It's way too dark. I mean, I thought the other one was dark, but this is like evil dark, whereas that one's kind of like depressing dark. I don't know how else to
So
describe it, but
this brings me to my other question then is how did they create that trailer? And the script hadn't even been written yet.
right. Well, they did the trailer first, right?
Yeah, I mean, and how were they able to create that without the script? How did they know what type of scenes to film? And then those scenes aren't even in the script that he was showing to the mic.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I'm
Yeah.
super confused.
Well, I think
I
some of those
mean,
scenes
not.
are here. Are in this. That's why I think this one is a lot more closer to the 2012 script than the other one. Because I remember even at some point, I remember when maybe it was when Alex Jones when they were talking with him, and somewhere David said that the whole guillotine scene isn't in there. It'd be good to find out that date too, because the guillotine scene is in this script here, and it is a
Hmm.
pretty it's a pretty big part. Um, so it's got to find that timeline of when all of these things change. I don't know if we're ever going to know why they changed, but it'd
Yeah.
be really good to find out when all of this changed, because it takes a really um, sharp turn from that, between these two scripts, and we don't know how many other ones that there are that are also out there, but it'd be interesting to know what the first one was. Now they started the trailer was made in 2012, but I think David said they had been working on it since like 2010 or 2011. That may have still been when he was still in school too,
Hmm.
taking that film class. Oops. Which would make sense why Danny August Mason is in there, because they were in the same
And then
film
we
film
also,
school.
I know that Danny August Mason is working on other projects in 2014 and 2015.
Mhm.
He's like working on commercials. He worked on an Amazon Prime project, and it's like a short movie, or it's like a short or something like that. It's I need to find it and I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
And it's military type, futuristic type. Um, so I need to find that and send it to you. And he's working on quite a few different things. And so I guess he was just waiting for David to write the script so they could sell it and then start filming it. But was he at uh, Rainey's birthday party in October or August?
Yeah, yeah, he was,
Okay, thank you.
if I remember
I was
correctly.
curious about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I do believe he was there. I think he said that too. They were all there. All of the Gray State guys were all there at that point. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I
especially
don't know why I just
considering.
assumed that they were all working on everything together up until David had gone to Hollywood. But I guess they weren't.
I kind of thought that they were too. Yeah, I mean that's what it seemed like, but because even David
I wonder what.
merging these characters, that's still the character of Daniel could have easily been played by Danny August Mason, but not if they're taking it to a Hollywood company and all of that stuff. How did Danny Mason get cut out of all of that? Is also
Hmm.
another thing I've never been able to answer to understand. And why?
Yeah. 'Cause are we recording right now? I mean, like
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I think
on.
I'm gonna stop this because we pretty much accomplished everything that I wanted to. It does look like the live stream is working, so let me shut this down here.
Okay,
Um,
because there's a couple things I want